Hello, and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, Cirrus over there.
Technically speaking, yes.
Welcome to the first hatless stream since I introduced the hats.
Yeah, it's kind of what happens when you reenact a Whitest Kids You Know skit.
Yeah, I actually did consider, when you suggested I should do that, I considered it. Just stream it. I'm like, no. That's probably not a good idea.
Hey guys, did you know that it's really illegal to say?
Are you gonna
totally
say
illegal.
Are you
Terrible.
gonna say, because you know what? On YouTube's end, that stream was fine. It's still
So, like,
monetized. There's no problems with it. Everything's good.
Yeah, my
So-
thing is that I don't trust the Orange in Chief to not take everything so hyper seriously that things actually get dangerous when you do jokes like that.
I'm in Canada. Ha, he can't get me.
You're in Canada. You're right. I'm not.
Yeah, along those lines, I apologize for putting your income in jeopardy.
It's entirely fine. It
'Cause-
wouldn't have been the first time that something weird happened, and I've gotten my own stream knocked off of Twitch before.
Yeah, but I got a 30-day ban. I'm not even allowed to chat in your chat.
Correct. I know.
You've ever gotten it that bad before?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Well, sorry, it was a 7-day one, but like a 7-day one isn't that much different than a 30-day one as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, a 7-day one means that I can stream again today. Well, maybe next week.
Yeah, whereas I stream 4 days out of at the time that it happened, I streamed 7 days out of the week. But now that I stream 4 days out of the week, I mean, the impact would have been identical between the two situations.
Yeah.
But
I know.
Yeah, no.
I don't take Twitch as seriously as you do because it is not even a drop in the bucket for me.
yeah, for you, it's tertiary income. For me, it's this
I-
month it was actually $1,000 of my income.
I don't know that I'd even call it income. well,
Well-
I make more on Twitch than I do from selling merch. So there's that.
I do make more on. You know what? I finally started making more on my secondary channel than I do selling merch. I only make about $50 to $100 a month on merch.
Alrighty. Well, let's just jump straight into the news, shall we?
We can go right into the new. No, I'm not gonna fucking do that. That guy's a douchebag.
I don't know what you're referencing.
Hey, it's Keemstar.
Okay, I am familiar with the name. I know nothing
Yeah,
about
he's
him.
does the drama alert channel, is a piece of shit.
Okay. Most drama YouTubers are pieces of shit.
Gideon Wells says negative first over on in my chat. Actually, that's weird.
In your
But
chat?
I'm not streaming, but my
Oh,
Twitch still
because you can still chat
showcases
on
my
Twitch.
chat. Yep,
Okay. Yeah. I didn't bother to deactivate my Twitch chat box, so there's just an empty box there.
that's funny. That's great.
Okay. Well, let's just jump right into the news then, shall we?
Okay,
Okay.
what do we got here?
Well, we're starting with false idols. Florida
Oh
pastors
yeah,
are
the golden calf. That's I mean, yeah, he is a cow, so we'll go with golden calf. That's fine.
so I I saw a picture of this statue right next to the Saddam Hussein statue that got torn down, and they looked
Yeah.
very similar. So I tried to find that picture of like them right next to each other, and but the one that came up was this one. Which, so apparently he's got a sign right next to him pointing to the blue monster hole.
Okay.
So Donald Trump is the blue monster hole.
I mean, he is a blue monster when he's dressed in blue,
Yeah.
but sure, why not? The blue monster's whole. Man, it's really weird. Anybody who did this, if they were a different person entirely, would have been seen as one of the most vain pieces of shit. They
Mm-hmm.
would have instantly been called out as somebody who is not worth the American taxpayer dollars and should have been knocked out of office. Like, just going, I want you to erect a statue of me. That's a thing despots do. That's not a thing that,
Oh,
like,
well,
general American presidents request. That's a thing that people who are desperate to cling to power and are super insecure do, actually.
Olivia Williams wants to know if we've seen that Greg Locke admitted to lying. I have not, but knowing Greg Locke, it's it's going to be one of those admissions that's not really an admission.
Yeah, he's so, man, Greg, I haven't thought about him in a bit. Years ago, when he was going through his divorce, I reached out to him in order to like try to give my condolences because I didn't have the information on the divorce that we do now, where it's actually because he cheated with his secretary and actually almost drove his wife to commit suicide. I didn't have all that information at the time. So just thinking about him again and just like, oh, cool. That was a weird taste in my mouth that I'd like to get out again. Ugh.
Yeah. No, Greg Locke is not fun.
No, he's a piece of shit. Do you remember when he broke a Dunkin' Donuts when he broke a Dunkin' Donuts door during COVID because they told him to wear a mask and it made him really, really uber mad?
I don't remember him breaking a door, but I do know that his Dunkin' Donuts order is some ridiculous thing like a coffee with 9 creams and 9 sugars or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I don't know
man,
about his
just
order.
you don't like coffee at that point, man. Just find some caffeinated beverage that actually tastes good and drink that instead. You don't like coffee if you're doing that to it. And I say this as someone who does not like coffee. It is okay to not like coffee.
I generally am not a big coffee person, but I do like fraps, and I mean, a frap is functionally just a coffee smoothie.
I just I find the flavor of coffee ruins whatever it's in. So
oh, whoa.
like coffee chocolates or whatever is like no, the coffee flavor has ruined the chocolate flavor. And it's like it's not that like I don't have the same aversion to coffee as I do with mint. I can drink coffee. I can eat coffee flavored things. I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. I don't know how anybody thinks anything coffee is good.
I like the coffee flavor. Like, get coffee flavored ice cream is great. Chocolate covered coffee beans, those are also really good.
No. They just ruin the chocolate.
Nah, like we have different opinions on this
Yes,
one.
we do.
We do. Like how
Bregwin,
YouTube and Twitch have different opinions over what's allowable on their platform.
Bregwin for $2 says they worshiping a golden calf playing pocket pool. Yeah. Chat's moving too fast for me to Take it off. Yeah. So yeah. They built a golden statue to Trump. They've named it the Blue Monster Hole.
Hip hip hooray!
But several religious leaders are likening this to idolatry and a violation of biblical prohibition against worshiping false idols. I wonder why.
It is idolatry, like
It literally
in every possible way.
like this is what Romans 1 that the apologists like to pull out to be like, you really do believe in God deep down. This is actually what Romans 1 is about. It's about worshiping false idols. It doesn't even say worshiping them. It's just having false idols.
You know what's really funny to me? So you don't watch The Boys, correct? Like
Correct.
I think we had this conversation last time. So the entire season of The Boys right now is Homelander's like takeover of the world functionally from a standpoint of Christian nationalism, and they started selling him as God's modern day prophet. Jesus is number one man. And like
Okay.
he accepts that at first for a little bit, and then he starts to reject it because he goes, nope, nope, there's no man in the sky, there's just me. Like he starts getting a full-on God complex, going, it's not good enough that you guys are worshiping me as God's prophet. You need to start worshiping me as God, because that's what I am. Fuck all of you, and I'll kill you if you don't.
Well, if I could take a moment to quote the Bible on our very atheist-themed stream.
Sure.
Romans 1:22 through 23. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal human beings and birds and
Weird.
animals and reptiles.
That's so weird. That sounds
Like exactly what they fucking did.
exactly. That looks really weird and kind of like what's going on. I wonder why.
Yeah. So apparently the statue, they say it's worth $450,000.
Oh, the fuck it's not.
Like, if you melt down the materials and that's what the raw materials cost, then I will agree with that assessment.
But they
But,
dropped
like,
the price of
generally-
the statue down by putting Trump's face on it.
Yeah. Like, I would pay less for that.
Like I consider that equivalent to defacing currency.
Yeah, like if you melted it down, just gave me the raw materials, I would be much happier with that than with a statue of Trump.
Correct.
But
Dude's a piece of shit.
apparently it depicts him in a gesture similar to the moment after he survived the assassination attempt at a 2024 campaign rally. It just so happens that it looks like every other fucking dictator statue standing there with their arm in the air.
Yeah.
Like Kim Il Sung, I think, has one. I
just
saw.
so
I think it was
happens
Derek Guy, the fashion guy, who also criticizes the right wing stuff very heavily.
Yeah.
He compared a photo of the Trump statue to it was either Kim Il Sung or Kim Il Jong, and he was like, "Oh well, you know, it's kind of sad that the clothes are just hanging better on Kim Il Sung." Whichever Kim, like even in statue form where they have made him look as good as possible, like they've clearly trimmed some weight off of him. Even in that statue form, he's still not dressed well.
It's depressing. It's depressing knowing that this is the guy leading us, because like somehow his charisma score is high enough that he is able to sway the populace with all of whatever the fuck this is going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
get it.
I have never seen him as charismatic. Like even like in 2016, I was not right wing, but I had right leanings. I was closer to the enlightened centrists of today, and
Yeah.
even then, I was just like, "What do people see in this man?" Like I have never understood that.
The thing is, it's because it sounds like he's the everyman. Like I think that's what it really boils down to for a lot of people, is that
But he
is
doesn't.
a
If people around me talked like that, I would find new people to be around me.
right, but you're not a construction worker. Like just throwing it out there, you're not a construction worker. You're not somebody who Like the job that you had prior to doing YouTube full time was waiting at an upscale restaurant. People at the low, like, I don't want to say lower echelons of intelligence because that's super insulting, but it's also
No,
kind
it's
of
okay. My
accurate.
my former neighbor, who was the asshole that we had to call the police on multiple times, is a construction worker. So you can go ahead and say that.
The thing is, I have friends who are
I
construction
know,
workers, and I'm
I
not
know
trying to
people that work
disparage
construction that
them.
are not anywhere close to as bad as that guy either. So
But generally speaking, when you get construction, when you get people who work in construction or a lot of blue collar workers, you get a lot of people who feel politically disenfranchised and spend most of their time working and less of their time researching. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. If you're working to put food on your table, food on the table of your family, that's what you're going to do. But when you hear any politician sounding like Bill Clinton, Obama, Bush, Biden, they all sound very, very similar. I know that they have
Hello.
various levels of eloquency, Bush being at the bottom rung and Obama being at the top rung there, but they do still sound very similar. Their vernaculars are very similar. And when you are raised on a steady diet of don't trust any politician ever, which isn't exactly a bad position to have, all things considered, like that's a very safe position to have. But when you're raised in that environment, somebody like Trump coming around and sounding completely different to all of them, it scratches a part of the brain for people in that position. He seems like a man of the people to them. Now, the problem is that they're very bad at identifying what a man of the people looks like. They are
yeah,
incredibly bad at identifying
I
what that
mean, we
is.
also haven't had a president that's been a man of the people for a very long time, if ever.
Yeah, the closest we have had in that regard has probably been Biden because of the work he
Oh,
did with unions.
I was gonna say FDR.
I mean, like since I've been alive,
Okay, yeah, if we're going living memory, I'd say none.
like if we're going like historically, then sure, FDR because of the Green New Deal,
Yeah.
right? Like absolutely, like the New Deal policies, sure, why not? But in recent memory, I can only think Biden because of the amount of work he did with the unions. That,
So Olivia Williams says I used to be
that's it.
libertarian when I saw
And even
people.
then, he's still a bought and paid for
I'm
Democrat
trying to
like
read my
many
super
others.
chats. Sorry, shut the fuck up.
I had already stopped. That's a you lag problem.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I've just been trying to get to this one for a little while, and I forget if I don't get to them. Love you, Sarahs.
Mm.
Okay, Olivia Williams says I used to be a libertarian when I saw people I
Mm.
admired support him. It's when I left the right. He was too obviously an idiot and a fascist. I also used to be a libertarian.
That that's another thing though. People are very bad at identifying what a fascist is. So for giggles, I started going onto Reddit to look into what a lot of people thought fascism was. And when you get into like the more ivory tower subreddits where people are very, very like hoity-toity based on whatever research they've done or they're lying, it's Reddit. There's probably a bunch of people lying about their backgrounds on there too. Um, you get a lot of people who really have a fuck ton of disdain for Umberto Eco. But when I'm identifying what a fascist is, I almost always use
Mm-hmm,
Umberto
mm-hmm.
Eco's essay as a set of guideposts for this is what a fascist generally looks like. And every single critique that I see on a place like Reddit is either he had no idea what he's talking about or he's talking too much in broad strokes. I'm like, but that's kind of what
Fascism is
fascism
the broad
is.
strokes.
Like fascism, by its definition, operates in broad strokes so that it is hard to identify. Fascism isn't just what Benito Mussolini made, just like Nazism isn't just what Hitler made.
Yeah,
They've become ideologies after the death of the author, so to speak.
yeah.
And people are very, very bad at having any amount of guideposts for how and when they use those terms. Because American education doesn't do a good job of teaching you that. When and granted, I had a private school education on this, so maybe it was a little bit different. But when I was growing up, when we were learning about government, the information that we got was there's different kinds of government. There's republic, there's democracy, there's oligarchy, and then they would like kind of vaguely point to different countries in history that kind of had those political systems.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was about the extent of it until I got into an elections class when I moved to a magnet school and started studying like United States politics a lot more. But our education system when it comes to just basic terminology is really, really lacking. We don't teach people how to identify what fascism is. We don't teach people what the bones of Nazi ideology is. We teach them that the Holocaust happened, it was bad, this is the amount of people that died, and this is when America stepped in to stop them. We don't learn about the American brown shirts movement. We don't learn about the American eugenics movement that was used as the bones for the Nazis' eugenics movement. We don't learn any of that. That's not
do you mean
part
ICE
and parcel
and
of
Proud
what we
Boys?
do. Those are the modern day equivalents, but yes.
Yeah, no. So, as I've mentioned before, I listened to a podcast called The No Rogan Experience, and they just covered an episode where Andy Ngo was on just before Trump lost the 2020 election.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually really funny in a dark sort of way to hear the predictions that they're making about what Biden's going to do if he wins, and how, Antifa is not going to accept the results of the election, so they'll storm the Capitol. And at one point, so Andy Ngo is a wiggly little guy.
He's a piece of shit.
He is. He's a wiggly little guy who can't be pinned down on anything. And at one point,
Child, stop.
I say that so many times every day in my life. But at one point, Joe asks him, like, what is the definition of fascism? And then, but Andy didn't have a definition ready to go. And like, it is a hard thing to define, especially on the fly like that. So like, I get it. But eventually Joe just like stopped him from flubbing, and he was like, Jamie, Google it. What's the definition of how to, and he like read it on Google. And it's hilarious because as oversimplified as the Google definition is, it was still like, it would still apply to what Trump has been doing and even what he did in his first term.
Well, and the definition that Google has, at the very least, points out that it's a right-wing ideology. Like, of all of the issues with definitions you can pull just like straight up out of the internet, the Google one specifically says it is a right-wing authoritarian ideology.
Yeah, I think it did in that one as well. Because remember, that was like back in 2020 or 2019, something like that. I don't know, but yeah, no, it was really interesting hearing them talk about what they thought Antifa would do if Joe Biden didn't win the election. And then it turns out that Joe Biden did win, and Trump supporters all did the things that they were worried Antifa was going to do.
Oh, because it's
and
protection.
wasn't Andy Ngo there as well?
Andy at January 6th,
Jan
I believe
6th?
so.
Yeah, so there you go.
I'm like fairly certain that's the case, but it's kind of depressing. It's kind of depressing because it's like, on the one hand, when I think of people like Andy Ngo, I think of agitators that know exactly what the fuck they're doing. Like, you cannot convince me that Andy has no idea what he's doing when he's a political piece of shit. You can't. But when I think of like your average everyday Republicans, I think of people who honestly don't know better and are duped.
Well,
and they don't know better because of people like Joe Rogan.
It's funny because like so this was he went on Joe Rogan shortly after he got beaten up. And when you listen to his description of his injuries, he's talking about all the severe lacerations and contusions that he had, and he's using all these medical terms. Like, lacerations and contusions are the medical words for cuts and bruises. It's like, if you come out and say, I got a bunch of cuts and bruises, that doesn't really...
It sounds a lot
like it sounds
less important.
Yeah, but then when they were talking about a trans person who got assaulted, suddenly it wasn't lacerations and contusions, it was cuts and bruises.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, the framing there seems a little off.
Well, and it always will be. They're not honest people. They're not.
No.
And that's the thing that bothers me so much, though, is that, like I said, when I'm thinking of somebody like Andy or like Milo Yiannopoulos or the Quartering, now that he's quitting the internet technically for a little bit, like, when I'm thinking of any of those people, I am thinking of a person who knows exactly what the fuck they're doing, and if anything untoward happens to them, it's usually something that they brought on themselves. Like, they're actively causing problems, and therefore people are going to react a certain way. But then I think of, like, basic Republican voters who see that, and they don't see those people that way. So as far as they're concerned, it's either their heroes or people that they are soon going to view as heroes getting hurt when they ought not be, and it's frustrating trying to think of this from their side because there's always that dividend between here's a person who's duped, who's watching Joe Rogan Experience, and here's somebody who's making money by being on Joe Rogan Experience. And then you have to also remember that like people like Bernie Sanders have been on Joe Rogan Experience, and that gives people who are watching it this veneer that, hey, actually, no, it's a completely fair and balanced show. What are you talking about?
Well, one of the things that the No Rogan Experience guys have noticed is that, especially in recent years, like it's always kind of been the case, but in recent years particularly, his pool of guests seems to be drawn exclusively from people that he heard on other podcasts like Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens or the late Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he is almost exclusively now picking his guests from the guest pools of these other right-wing podcasts. So, but he still tries to pretend that he's an enlightened centrist who can, I see problems with both sides.
Like, yeah, can you articulate those problems? Because you don't get to do the both sides thing if you're not willing to say what the two sides are doing.
He also, like, he will criticize certain things about the right. Like, he was mildly critical of ICE agents wearing masks, but he would always couch it in terms of, but they gotta to protect themselves against doxing. But yeah, I get that it sucks, because now anyone can impersonate them.
But then you consider the fact that police have to be able to be identified unless they're, like, going undercover. Like, if you ask a police officer who's in uniform what their badge number is, they give you their badge number, usually. And the fact that
that's why before you buy drugs, you always say, "Are you a cop?" You have to tell me.
No, and that never that's not actually true. But
when you're soliciting prostitution, if you bring a camera and say that it's for pornography, that always works.
But it's weird knowing that we have this like delineation between those standards. We're supposed to treat ICE like the police. We're supposed to treat them with the same legitimacy as the police. But if we treated them with that same legitimacy as the police, there's a lot of standards they would have to start abiding by that they fucking don't.
Yeah. I don't appreciate that you ignored my prostitute.
There's so many jokes I could make about that right now, and I'm just not going to.
Yeah, I know, because you're ignoring my prostitute. Okay.
You're destitute.
Yeah. Patreon.com/FascismRhino.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so Burns, the guy who cut the ribbon at the Trump statue unveiling or whatever, he tried to defend himself saying it's not a golden calf. It's a powerful symbol of resilience, freedom, patriotism, courage, and the will to keep fighting for America.
That looks like a
golden idol?
Yeah, like it's not a golden calf. It's just a golden calf.
Well, as senior pastor of the Coral Gables Congregational United Church of Christ said, can churches just shorten their names?
No. Churches need to be named the same way as bad isekais.
Okay. When we build a towering golden image of an elected official, we are no longer just thanking God. We are visually exalting a human being in a way that blurs the line between rightful gratitude and idolatrous devotion. Now,
yeah,
obviously, I don't think God exists, so he does not need to be thanked. But if you are going to thank God, building a statue of a man who is not God is not how you would do that.
It seems like a pretty poor way of doing it.
Be honestly. Like, if my kids... It would be like, I went to Walmart on Mother's Day, and as I was walking, in one of their prominent displays in the middle of the aisle, that like this wasn't just with all the other shit that this would have fit in category-wise. It was the prominent Notice Me Now display. On Mother's Day, was a display of Father's Day cards.
Hey, that seems like the wrong message.
Yes. So this would be like that. This is like, yeah, no, like, we appreciate Mom and everything she does, and we know that she's always overlooked, and it's actually really easy being seen as a good dad. All I have to do is take my kids to the playground, and everybody looks at me and is like, oh, what a good father. And like, I could forget everything. I could not have water for them at the playground, and everybody would still be like, what a good father. But if she's there with the kids and she doesn't have that water, then everybody's judging her. And so they have this one day of appreciation for mothers. It's on Mother's Day. And on that day, the store has a display in appreciation of fathers.
Hello.
That's what this
Yay.
is. That's what this is. This is
We
the Father's Day
appreciate
card on
God.
Mother's Day of idolatry. Weird analogy, but whatever. I think it works.
It kind of works in your brain.
And particularly a man known for breaking most of his commandments over and over again. Yeah. Like,
I want to have sympathy for the people who were duped, but there is a line.
Also, to be fair, only 3 of the 10 commandments are good. Like, the don't kill, don't steal, don't cheat, don't have adultery. Are those? Wait, what?
Are those the good ones? I thought
I don't
not
know.
boiling a calf in its mother's milk was a good one.
That's
personally.
that's the final copy that Christians ignore. We gotta go with the rough draft.
Got to go with the rough draft that
Yeah,
they
the,
love.
the rough draft is the one that is the official. Oh, now you're making me look up the list of 10 commandments.
I'm not making you look them up. You're the one who's. This is your ADHD tangent, not mine.
Well, yeah, but you. This wasn't you. This was the royal you.
I understand. This is
Olivia. It's
this
Olivia's
is a,
fault.
This is a you in a way that doesn't have any actual bearing on reality. That's my favorite.
Sure,
you.
why not?
Wobble
Bible
Fett.
info. So no other gods before me. That's not a good one. Make no idols. That's not a good one because who fucking cares? I mean, he's ignoring it, but don't say Jesus Christ as a swear word. Keep the Sabbath day holy. Honor your father, your mother. So that's one that can be good, but also there is very good reason to not universalize it. Some parents don't deserve it.
Honor your father and mother, except when your father and mother are beating you. Maybe don't do it then.
Yeah, no, I was right. Don't murder. Don't steal. Don't bear false witness. Now, that one is commonly interpreted as don't lie.
It's don't bear false witness against your neighbor. It's about a court of law.
Yeah, so in a court of law, don't bear false witness. Okay, that one's fine. So we'll say there's 4. So don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't bear false witness. There are 4 that are good. Only 2 of which should actually... No, 3. Only 3 of those 4 should actually be laws. Don't covet, I find really, really amusing because the whole system of capitalism is based on coveting.
Most of war also based on coveting?
Yeah. They want the fucking oil.
Hello.
Like, you wanted the resources that didn't belong to you, so you did a war.
Yeah.
Now the resources belong to you.
That is coveting and stealing. Actually, yeah, there you go. If you could simplify this. Take out do not steal, because do not covet kind of covers that. If you're not coveting the thing that other people have, you're not going to steal it because you don't want it. But also, I've never understood. So first off, covetousness is what drives capitalism. It is
Yep.
like wanting shit that you don't have and that other people do have is the whole point of capitalism. And the people that want to pin the 10 commandments up in classrooms everywhere are the ones who...
They're the capitalists.
...are the most ardent capitalists. Dark Falcon says George Carlin broke them down to 2 commandments. Yeah, that sounds like something he'd do. I don't recall that particular bit. What was I saying? Oh yeah, covetousness. But then also there's the aspect of Christianity where... I forget the biblical references, 'cause, like, what's in the Bible versus what pastors have said is indicated by the Bible kind of blur in my head sometimes. But there's this idea in a lot of churches of, like, heavenly rewards. This is the Jesus thing of, like, build up treasures in heaven where moth does not eat and rust does not whatever the fuck, as opposed to building up treasures on earth. They always leave out the don't build up treasures on earth part, but what is the point in having heavenly treasures? Is heaven like? Am I going to like if you're a Christian, you go to heaven, and someone was a better Christian than you, so they have more heavenly treasures. What is the benefit of having more heavenly treasures if you're not able to sin, and it's a sin to want things?
Like, you're already immortal. You've already won.
I live in paradise. I'm immortal. There's no more pain, no more death, no more suffering. Oh, but he's got a better mansion in heaven than I do. And I want that.
You shouldn't be coveting
Oh, that's
that.
a sin.
No,
Okay,
it's
down the
that.
hell with you. But then what's the point in storing up treasures in heaven where you're not going to want them anyway?
Oh, it's sin. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't you dare.
Yeah.
That would be doing a bad.
So that's my philosophical pontification for the night. I say that as if there's only going to be one.
10 Commandments bad. Brought to you by Vice Rhino.
Well, at least 6 of the 10 Commandments bad.
More information and insights available at noon.
Yeah. Anyway, that's basically it for this one. It's just funny. He's making statues of himself again.
Is it funny or is it terrifying?
If I don't laugh at it, I'm going to cry.
You know, that is a very fair and valid point.
Okay. So if... Where'd it go?
Sidebar, if Vice Rhino cries, would anybody here find it funny?
If you'll excuse me, I have to use the washroom.
Okay. He's going to go cry, everybody. Maybe I should narrate that, actually. The Vice Rhino crying arc.
You didn't think I was a pee drinker, did you?
It's less think and more no.
Oh, that would get me taken down. That would get me taken off of Twitch for sure. Can't do this on Twitch.
But remember, it won't get you taken off of YouTube because there are people who made content about that for years. I drink my own piss. It's the thing that makes me super healthy, actually.
Oh, I know whose voice you were doing. I know that man. That's the man from the Flat Earth documentary. What have we done with our lives, Cirrus? What have we done with our lives that we both know that about the same guy?
Look, he was the one who was on Non Sequitur show as well, if memory serves, back in the day.
No, that sounds
like after the documentary, because that's where I found him from.
That sounds like the kind of thing he would do.
Yeah.
Anyway, next news story. This is one where we just get to laugh at a bunch of rich people for being sad.
I love laughing at rich people for being sad.
So,
I love it when rich people are sad.
New York's rich lash out at shameful Mamdani plan to tax second homes.
Okay.
So,
sidebar, why do you need second house? Surely first house was good enough.
Well, no, but you need a second. So, reading this article, I was introduced to a term that, like, I know enough French that I was able to translate the meaning into English. But I've never heard that as a term for a second home before. It's pied-à-terre, which I guess is a fancy...
That sounds like the kind of word that would make me buy a guillotine.
I mean, guillotine's a French word, too. Okay.
You're right. I need to be a proper American. Guillotine.
There you go. So a time-honored New York ritual is playing out again as millionaires and billionaires threaten to flee the global financial capital where they own luxurious second homes. Because, you know, this happens anytime any sort of tax on any wealthy people is ever proposed in New York. There are always a bunch of op-eds and opinion pieces, and, well, that's what an op-ed is, but you know what I mean. There's a bunch of news stories that come out suddenly that are like, oh, everybody, like, all the wealthy people are going to flee New York, and then there's going to be no one... There's going to be no one to create jobs if all the rich people leave. And then it's never actually happened.
Yeah, the reason that they're not going to leave New York is the bastion of commerce in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a reason to leave the bastion of commerce in the United States.
Yeah, so the latest breaking point for the penthouse set, Mayor Zoran Mamdani's plan to tax their pied-à-terre worth more than $5 million. So a pied-à-terre is apparently a word specifically for a second home that is not a vacation home.
A second home that's not a vacation.
So like,
Why
it translates to feet on the ground. So basically it's, I'm a businessman, I have a home in New York so that when I need to go to New York for business, I don't have to get a hotel room like a filthy commoner. I can stay in my hundreds of millions of dollars penthouse instead of spending a few $1,000s on a hotel room.
But it just to get the hotel room then, like, that's, you have the money for it, like,
Yeah,
quite
I know.
literally.
But no, they have to own the home.
They have to own the libs.
But yeah, so it's a tiny tax that, according to Kathy Hochul, the tax will affect 13,000 properties, which is 0.4% of the city's more than 3.7 million housing units. And in that 0.4%, it's going to raise $500 million annually. So, like, that sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, I actually covered this one on stream yesterday. Yeah. The $500 million that's being raised by this.
Yeah, barely anybody is being affected. The people that are being affected can afford it.
People. Oh, sorry, that's different.
Well,
sorry,
we'll
you
get
had
to
a
that
different
one,
opinion.
sir. We are going to get to that one, sirs.
You had a different opinion than I did.
So we have here. So this person, this is. Oh, they don't name him, but he's a Miami-based businessman with a second home in New York's West Village. He said, "Can I afford the tax? Yes. Is it going to deter me? No. Okay, all the questions that we need answered right there.
Yeah,
are
we
answered.
don't like. Why would we care?
You can
about
afford
the
it, and you're
follow-ups?
going to continue doing business in New York. There you go. End of story. But he keeps going. He says, "But I think it's shameful. I provide a lot of money to people who are blue-collar workers who work for me, servers in restaurants. If we're not there, there are going to be less people being paid."
So you don't provide money to servers in restaurants. Shut the fuck up. You probably lobby for the fucking tipped wage. No.
Yeah.
You can't convince me that you provide money to servers.
But also, he literally just finished saying that it's not going to deter him, which means he is going to continue providing those jobs. So
yeah, it's like it's
there's
just
not
shameful.
less people being paid. It's just you being a whiny little bitch.
It's just so shameful. Okay, but why do I, like, for practical reasons, why do I care?
So, like, Mamdani announced this in front of Citadel founders Keith Griffin's pied-à-terre. It's such a obnoxious term for it.
It's a word. Again, the word makes me want to go get a guillotine.
Yeah, but it, apparently his is worth $238 million. So
that sounds like $238 million he doesn't need.
You have a property worth $250 million, and you're complaining about a little bit more tax. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, so another fun thing is usually I see this stuff framed in the, socialists just want to take other people's money, hurdy her. I'm sorry, but can we have the conversation that profit is by definition somebody else's money?
They have a second house that they almost never live in that is worth more money than I will ever see in my entire life combined.
And they are pissing and moaning.
Yes.
Treat these people like the children they are.
They don't fucking need it. So and this kind of floored me. Michael Dell, guy from Dell Computers, he has a penthouse which is 10,923 square feet. That's like 10 times the size of my actual house. And this is his I don't want to bother getting a hotel room house.
But don't worry, we're supposed to, what was the word? Care? Yeah. We're supposed to care.
And then apparently, so there's a whole neighborhood in New York, in Manhattan, called Billionaires Row. And apparently, if you look at the skyscrapers that occupy Billionaires Row at night, the lights are just off all the time because nobody's ever there. So, like, they're paying for prime real estate that they don't even use. They just want to have it for the sake of having it because billionaires are a bunch of, like, fucking dragons hoarding their wealth. They're just having things for the sake of having things. So Patrick Dwyer, a wealth advisor, says the progressive movement is the most dangerous thing for the upper middle class professional that's ever happened in these big cities.
Well, congratulations. There's only like fucking 12 of you, so why would I care?
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, upper middle class is not hundreds of millions of dollars for a penthouse second home. Upper middle class is like $150,000 a year.
But we are supposed to
Like,
care.
I think upper middle class, I think that is fairly wealthy, but it's a reasonable amount of wealth. 150,000 a year, I'm not going to have beef with that person just for making that amount of money. Billionaires,
However,
you don't make that amount of money. You exploit
Nope.
people for that amount of money.
profit is theft. Sorry. Like by its very definition, profit is the excess wages that you yourself did not earn, that somebody else earned, that you skimmed off the top of their wage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you aren't entitled to a certain amount of profit. I just think it's really weird that you want a world where the only person who does get a negotiation seat at that table is the person who has all of the money and power already.
Yeah. So Patrick Dwyer went on to say, when these people are successful and they become a managing director after working 100 hours a week and they're making real money, the governments are going to crush that person. No, they're not. This only affects people that are in the top, half of the top 1%. It affects no one.
Again, not people.
Well, no, that's later on. Stop saying that. You're jumping the gun here.
Oh, okay, I see. There's information about the stream that I didn't know that is pertinent to this.
Yeah, but I already told you that we were going to get there.
Yeah, but I'm gonna keep saying the joke because it's funny.
Okay, so this is some guy, last name Griffin. I don't know his first name. Whatever.
Peter?
Some asshole. Some asshole
Peter?
billionaire. No, some asshole billionaire said, "What Mamdani just did to me and more broadly is doing to the city of New York is triggering of the trauma I went through in Chicago."
The trauma you went through. You
The
lost
trauma
$1,000?
of having to pay a little tiny bit of tax on a second mansion that I own.
Yeah,
Fuck
I
you.
don't think I.
That's not what trauma is. Trauma is not paying taxes when you have plenty of cash to spare.
Yeah, I think these people need more trauma to happen to them, actually.
Well, I mean, that earlier guy was named Dwyer. He could learn from his close relative Bud.
I don't remember who Bud Dwyer is.
Oh, you don't remember Bud Dwyer? Okay, don't Google that on stream.
Oh. Every word you just said made me sad. Because I got a pretty decent idea of what I'm in for.
He was a politician who got caught doing a bunch of scamming, extortion, bribe taking, whatever the fuck. I don't know, corruption. There was a bunch of corruption with his thing. And then he held a press conference to apologize. And at the end of the press conference, he gave everybody a warning that, if you have small children in the room, tell them to look away right now. And then he pulled out a gun, and then there was no more Bud Dwyer.
Oh. That is about the most selfish way you could go out. I need everybody watching me while I kill myself.
Everybody look at me.
No, sorry. Once again. No.
So one wealth advisor says, "I'm not selling my apartment because I really can't. I have the children down the street and I'd like to stay married to my... I'd like to stay married to my wife. I can't sell my apartment because I would... Does your wife get the apartment if you sell it?
Yeah, why do you...
The only way I could possibly sell my apartment is by divorcing my wife. I don't know how that factors into it.
I think it would be very funny if you were forced to divorce your wife, actually.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny. But then he says, there's literally no dollar amount I wouldn't pay to be near my grandchildren. Okay, then just shut the fuck up and pay the tax.
Then pay the tax. That's it.
Just
there's
shut
a
the fuck up and
dollar
pay
amount.
it.
It's right there.
So Scott Bach said he's a former chief executive of the investment bank Greenhill and Company. He says people are just on a hair trigger alert for anything Mamdani does. Accurate. But to me, this is not going to be the thing that drives people out of the city, because they freak out anytime a new tax is discussed, and they never leave.
And the tax that's being discussed affects only them. The argument that I saw, and I've seen a billion times where this is concerned, is oh, Mamdani is going to tax all the New Yorkers, and he's gonna pay for all of these things with your money. And it's no, the majority of New Yorkers complain that they can't, live in New York City very well, and that they have to go into areas that are underserved in order to be able to afford rent. I think that they probably need the hand up more than the billionaires do that don't fucking live there.
Mm-hmm. Another wealth advisor, some guy named Klein, says his clients are very angry, but conceded that the new tax was expected to be relatively minor compared to their overall net worth.
Then
So
why
just
do
fucking
you
pay it. So
care?
there's actually it's kind of a meme among the finance people and real estate people or whatever, that tax is such a bad, like, just cognitively, there's something about the word tax that a lot of people get immediately on their guard. Like, people will pay more in fees and interest in order to pay less in tax.
Yeah, by great example of this, health insurance.
Yeah.
People are willing to ruin themselves financially.
I've said this before.
To own the libs.
I pay on average about $700 for the year for my healthcare coverage. Now, to be fair, I have to pay for my own prescriptions. That only covers doctor visits, hospital visits, stuff like that. It doesn't cover dental or eye care for some reason. And we've constantly got Doug Ford trying to make it more like the American system for some goddamn reason. But as it stands, most of my medical stuff completely free. I pay $700 a year. And then what I pay out of pocket for my prescriptions don't even come close to what you guys pay just as your premiums. So, yeah, I do pay more in taxes than you guys, but I get shit for it.
Yeah, taxes are just an upfront cost for a service you will need.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to need a doctor at some point in their life. So how does dental and vision care work? I go in, they say, do you have insurance with your employer? And I say, I am self-employed, so no. And then they say, that'll be $300, please. I mean, $300 is usually what it costs for like all three of the kids to go.
It's not cheap compared to here.
Well, I mean, that's just for like the normal checkup and cleaning. There's like, if there's a cavity, it costs more, and x-rays are like $50 an x-ray or something. But yeah, I pay out of pocket for that. But most people in Canada have health insurance through their employer, and fairly standard. Like, we don't pay premiums like you guys do. Like, there is a little taken off for health insurance, but it's like $5 a paycheck or something. It's tiny. And that will cover 80% of your prescription costs, your dental care, your eye care. Usually there's therapy is included in there, because therapy is not covered by the government stuff either. So,
the American government should have to pay for therapy for all the trauma they put everybody through by just existing the way they do right now.
Yeah. Anyway, now we finally get to the last sentence of the article. It says, this was the Miami-based guy, Miami guy who has a condo in the West Village. He says, I know what it is to not have money. I'm also a regular person who has had to work his way up. A lot of these people who have pied-à-terre are real people.
No, they're not.
I would be willing to bet that his idea of not having money and having to work his way up is that my dad only lent me $1 million to start my business.
Yeah, it's gonna be something along those lines.
That is usually what it means. Like, Elon Musk will tell you he started from nothing. Turned out, no, he started from an emerald mine and a loan of several $100,000. That's not nothing.
Most people who have a few connections and are at least somewhat financially savvy can take a loan of $1 million and turn it into something.
You know what? You brought up another point. There's connections. Even if your dad didn't give you the loan of $1 million or whatever, your dad knows your dad knows people. You can utilize your dad's knowledge as who to go talk to, and then they'll do favors for you because you're this person's kid. So even if you're born into wealth and they don't give you a penny, just being born into it immediately gives you a step up in life.
there's a gigantic advantage that is bequeathed upon you
Mm-hmm.
that way. And to ignore that is to ignore baser aspects of reality.
Diehard Anime Otaku says, ask them, without Googling, how much are bananas per pound?
Ooh.
I don't actually know that number off the top of my head, but it's less than $1. I know that because we get bananas all the time because they're the cheap one.
It's like $1 per pound here, unless you're getting organic, where it's $1.30.
Yeah, the organic. Fuck organic. You don't need to buy organic. It's not better for you. It's actually worse for the environment.
It's a scam.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a scam.
Mm-hmm. I do like the some of the grocery stores near me, the store brand things, and it wouldn't surprise me if this was just a marketing gimmick and they don't actually do it properly. But if you go to the frozen fruit section, they'll have a bag of like, these were the ugly ones that we can't sell as normal fruits.
Yeah. So there's actually a service here in the States that handles that specifically. It's called Misfit Market, where
Okay.
any of that stuff that couldn't make its way to like the sales floor because it didn't look good enough, they'll just ship it to your house.
Yeah. Yeah, I like stuff like that because, like, yeah, I do prefer the apples that look nice, but I will eat the apples that don't look nice but taste just as good.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. This one's a complete mystery. No idea why. Record numbers of Americans are leaving the country and renouncing citizenship.
I couldn't tell you why that's happening.
Oh, it's a complete mystery.
Yep, there's no information available at all as to why this phenomenon is happening.
Well, actually, Gallup did a poll, and that's why there's an article about it.
Oh.
So they're fleeing divisive politics and cost of living crises.
Divisive politics, you say?
I
wonder if there's I wonder if there's any information on what these divisive politics are and how they sound.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was sent to me by my anonymous source. And yeah, so in 2025 was the first estimated net outward migration of the U.S. population since the Great Depression. So since the Great Depression, immigration has always outweighed ex-migration.
Yeah, sure, we'll
Is
use
there a
that
word?
word.
There is a word for it, and it's a word that I know. So it's really funny that I can't remember it. God damn, that's going to bother me now. Somebody just say it in the chat so I can move on.
Emigration.
Okay, yeah, that is the word.
Emigration.
Immigration and emigration. You are correct. Thank you. And I did know that. Okay. So yeah, immigration has always outweighed emigration in the United States since the Great Depression, and now it doesn't. Before 2009, typical year saw 200 to 400 people renounce their citizenship, but in 2025 the figure was 5,000.
That's so cool.
That's not just people moving away. That's people moving away and being like, fuck that, I never want to come back. I am no longer a citizen.
Everything about that makes me feel depressed.
Yeah. So nearly all of the EU member states have seen record levels of Americans arriving to live and work there in recent years. Because Europe is fucking awesome. No matter how much the right wing will fearmonger about socialist Europe being overrun by Muslims that are going through the streets in rape gangs, it's actually really nice there.
But my mongers, they're feared. Why won't you let me do that? How dare?
Monger is a really weird word.
It is a very weird word.
I'm here
It
to
is a very strange word.
I'm here to mong some fish. Because I'm a fishmonger, you see.
Somebody comes in and starts talking about mogging next.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, you're mogging me with those amazing tits right now.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Cyrus has tip maxed his mogging game.
I hate every word that came out of your mouth.
Did you see the balls maxing thing that was going around Blue Sky the other day?
What?
Apparently, there's a group of guys who are obsessed with making their testicles as large as possible, so they like do at-home saline injections to inflate them to the size of cantaloupes.
Right. And these people aren't in therapy. Why?
Because saline solution is cheaper than therapy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I want less of whatever they're having.
Well, they're not having sex, I'll tell you that.
No, they definitely aren't.
Because that was a key part of the article, is that they're having a hard time finding someone who appreciates their engorged I'm just like, who has ever looked at a nutsack and been like, yes, but I want more? Like, even if you are attracted to the male body, is the nutsack not just a weird squishy bag thing? Does anyone like who is into testicles? And like, I'm sure there are people that are into testicles, but for those people, how many of them are into, let's make it as big as possible?
I don't like anything anymore.
But that has nothing to do with this. That just is what I thought of when I brought up tip maxing and mogging.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Why is the universe the way
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I don't actually. I'd like to think less to myself. I'd like to think less, Rhino. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, congratulations. You live in the right country for that.
Yeah, that's depressing. That makes me sad.
Okay, back to people running away from the States.
Uh-huh.
A November 2025 Gallup poll found that 1 in 5 Americans would like to permanently move, which is double the figure from 10 years ago. So that's 20% of Americans are like, if I could, I would get the fuck out. That's massive. Now, I get that the actual number of people leaving is never going to reach that because, like, money is a thing. Also, you know, barriers to entry to other countries and stuff. But, like, that is a massive amount of people that don't want to live in the States anymore.
Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, it makes sense. I understand. I get it. I 100% get it. What do you get for being in the United States? Let's tally it real quick. Let's tally it because there's a joke. When I thought I was going to go into the Air Force, there was a joke that was given to me by the Air Force recruitment officer when he was saying what the other branches could offer, and obviously he had an incentive to get me into the Air Force instead of anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, "Oh, and if you go to the Marines, the only thing they're going to tell you that they can offer you is like honor, and that's."
And you get to yell "hoo-ah" for the rest of your life.
You can't do anything with that. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, that. I didn't think about it at the time, but now, taking that same mentality, think about the countries you could live in. If you live in America,
mm-hmm.
What are your unique opportunities that only exist in America that do not exist elsewhere?
Going bankrupt from healthcare expenses.
There are some other countries where you can do that.
There are. How many developed ones are there, though?
Soon to be Canada.
No, just Ontario. The rest of Canada seems fine.
Okay, but...
And hey, like, you know what? You know what? Moving to New Brunswick would be super cheap.
But...
We just have to convince my partner's ex to move out there, too, because we're not allowed to move too far away because of the kids.
Yeah, thinking about it, like, really, truly, honestly thinking about it, there is nothing here. Like, unless you're born here and you have roots here, and so it is actually, like, way harder for you to live anywhere else, there's nothing here. There's no incentive to be here. The country's not going to take care of you. the politics of the country is getting more divisive and worse. You are the centerpiece of all conversation as a country for damn near every single other country on the planet because your country, my country, just happens to be the one that throws its imperialist arm around out the most right now. Like, there's so few incentives to be here over anywhere else.
Yeah, you know what? So since I stopped traveling to the States, there have only been 2 instances of a time when I'm like, oh man, I wish I could go to that, but I'm not traveling to the States. One was when I was asked to give a talk at the Ark Encounter protest, and the other is I just found out the Skeptics Guide podcast are doing a thing in Buffalo, which I absolutely 100% would have gone to had I not been refusing to go to the States.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's literally the only downside I have from avoiding them.
Like, it just... There's nothing here. There's nothing here.
I'm sure there's
just...
some things for some specific people.
I struggle to find what they
And
are or
I
articulate
see you
them.
pedants, we're not talking about family and, like, social ties. We're talking material benefits.
Yeah, like what things does this country offer you uniquely that another country couldn't? Because you
If you're
can't
a billionaire,
do
a
the,
low tax rate.
like you can't do the family thing because in this hypothetical, your family can exist elsewhere. That can. That's a thing that can happen. So, yeah, I can't think of anything that truly matters.
Just apply the veil of ignorance. You don't know what country is going to be yours when it comes up. So which countries would you like to be on the table?
If I wanted countries on the table right now,
Be like Sweden,
I can think
Finland.
I can think of Japan.
Denmark.
I can think of Canada.
Japan? Yeah,
I can
Japan
think
is
of
good.
Germany. I can think
No,
of
not,
New Zealand.
not Canada. I do love it in Canada, but Europe has so much.
Europe is
places
kicking
in
your
Europe.
ass in a lot of
Yes.
areas, but you got to remember, from my perspective in America, Canada is an improvement.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was going out of my way to be like, yeah, no, we're good, but go to Europe. Go to Europe.
But like I can think of just off the top of my head, these are countries that offer the things that I wish my country offered, and there is no opportunity. There's no opportunity here in the States that I get that is unique to the States. The closest thing I can think of is maybe like the SAG guilds in Atlanta and LA.
Ooh, that's what you get for living in the States. You get the right to own as many guns as you want with as few questions as you need to answer.
But I wouldn't need them as much if I didn't live around a bunch of lunatics.
It's a material benefit that you get from living in the States. Easy access to
Also-
guns. Although I would
also,
argue that it's not a benefit.
I don't need that many guns. I could just like if I lived in Germany, I would just have to get a hunting provision, and then I can have guns. Like, sure, there's going to be limits on those guns, but Texas has limits on fucking dildos. And one of these things arguably matters more than the other.
Yeah, well, anyway, according to a 2025 Harris poll, 68% of Americans considered leaving the U.S. cited unattainable home ownership. That we got that in Canada, too. Like, the only reason I could afford the house that I'm in now is because I bought the house that I was in before, back before it quadrupled in price. Because this one also quadrupled in price. But, yeah, so 68% of Americans had unattainable home ownership, and a sense that they were merely surviving instead of thriving. Meanwhile, 49% cited high living expenses. I don't know what the difference is between high living expenses and not being able to, like, and surviving instead of thriving and not being able to own a home. Seems like the same thing.
I
But
mean,
also,
you can not be able to own a home while still be thriving.
yeah,
You can have a very good apartment complex in a very good neighborhood.
yeah,
You could
okay,
be
but-
renting with a friend. Like there's a bunch of situations where that could be a case.
Sure. But, yeah, the other part of the 49% was disagreements with political situations in the U.S. So, yeah.
Remember, politics always affects you. It cares about you a lot.
I'll try to keep politics out of the discussion.
Nope. Politics cares about you way more than you think.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Do you remember Ryan Walters?
I believe so, yeah.
The Oklahoma guy who was like, let's get the Trump Bible in schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's getting a divorce.
Okay, yeah, that's very biblical. Got it.
Yeah. In the filing, he cited a state of complete and irreconcilable incompatibility as grounds for the divorce.
Uh-huh.
And so, as an atheist, I'm over here like, if you guys aren't compatible, it's probably best for the kids that you split up. Because having separate parents is better for the kids than living in a high conflict household.
Yep.
So, yeah, as an atheist, I'm like, go for it, man. It's fine. But this guy's been throwing Christian bullshit down everybody's throats for the past however the fuck long we've been doing this show. Like, we've been doing Ryan Walters stories, it seems like, every couple weeks for years now. Because there's always some new Bible shit that he's trying to force on kids. But apparently, he's not obeying the never divorce your wife commandment. Like, the Bible is way more clear about forbidding divorce than it is about forbidding homosexuality.
And you gotta think, this is a guy who doesn't like teachers' unions. This is a guy who doesn't like LGBTQ students having a right to their own privacy.
Sean asks, is it because she's legal now?
Oh my god.
Oh, you might be right.
Oh my god.
That's not outside the realm of possibility, Sean. Oh.
Jesus Christ. But like, this is a guy who has been the Oklahoma Secretary of Education.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want a teachers union to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Square those two fucking things for me. Square those two things.
Oh, he wants everybody to homeschool so they can teach their kids Christian bullshit.
There you go.
That's
I don't care about his divorce anymore.
Yeah. Well, I care about his divorce from the sense that he's just a giant hypocrite at this point. But we all, like, I mean, those of us on the left already know that everybody on the right is a hypocrite.
Not everybody on the right, but everybody in power on the right, yes. One of us has to use nuance.
Arguably, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a hypocrite. She's not a good person, and we absolutely do not have to hand it to her or team up with her.
You did.
This is not.
You don't actually have to hand it to her.
No, this is not an enemy of my enemy is my friend situation here. No, she's a piece of shit. Stay the fuck away from her. But she has been consistent.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. That is a way to look at it.
It's your dime. Start talking. You're live on the watering hole.
Oh, I forgot about this.
It's the same time every week.
Yeah, but I only just started working Wednesdays not long ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on nights when I work.
You interrupted the Marjorie Taylor Greene rant.
Oh no, are we still agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene or?
No. We've never agreed with like. She came to the correct conclusion through wrong method. Like, just because you got to the conclusion doesn't mean you like that. This is not an enemy of my enemy is my friend situation. Was my point.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Everybody says hi.
I hope everyone's enjoying my partner.
Yes, everyone is enjoying your partner.
Ooh, okay, well, enjoy, and I'll talk to you when I get home.
Okay, bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you too.
Yeah, she is anti-Israel for bad reasons, yes. She got there through anti-Semitism rather than Israel is doing genocide.
You don't actually have to hand it to her.
No. Okay. Last news item for the night. Large study, this was sent to me by my anonymous source, large study finds that replacing workers with AI is backfiring badly. That is a bad headline. That is not what the study found. It just found that there was no difference.
It just found there was no difference?
Yeah. Like, so 80%, they surveyed 350 global business executives whose companies are at least churning in $1 billion of revenue annually. And 80% of them admitted to trimming their human staff to make investments in AI or autonomous technology. But then when it was compared to the companies that had not done that, there was no appreciable difference in revenue.
Fun.
So replacing your employees with AI does not help your business.
It just makes you look scummy. Congrats.
Yeah. And then what this article points out is that to make matters worse, many of these businesses specifically reduced their headcount to free up the cash needed for AI technology, meaning they sacrifice valuable institutional knowledge and employee goodwill for nothing. So they were like, we're firing people so we can free up resources to throw at this AI thing, and then the AI thing didn't actually help them.
Imagine being literally any of these losers. Just any of them at all.
And institutional knowledge is a very important thing that a lot of companies just kind of ignore and assume will always be there. But, like, there are a limited number of people who know how to properly set up a machine tooling factory out there. Like, the Smarter Everyday guy, he made, like, a barbecue scrubber. And he made videos about his process of developing the barbecue scrubber. And at one step in the process, he was talking about how, like, this guy who is designing the die cast or something, like, I don't know, some fucking machining thing that I don't fucking know because I don't have the institutional knowledge. But, like, one of the machining parts of the of his tool, it was like, you are one of, like, 5 guys left in the United States who knows how to do this, and you're, like, 70 years old. So, like, people are saying manufacture in America. Okay, but the Americans don't know how to do this shit anymore. Which is not necessarily a problem if you're going to play nice globally.
You know what's funny? We do this with so many industries. You know what's really dumb? It costs several $1,000s to become a pilot. Do you know what America has?
More than that.
You know what America has a distinct lack of right now? Pilots. You know what America has a distinct lack of as well that costs
doctors?
Thousands of dollars to get? Doctors. We don't invest in our own people. We tell everybody do for your country. But then the country doesn't fucking do anything for the people at all.
Yeah. No, it's all brain drain at this point. But and like I'm not even one of these people that's like, oh, we need to bring manufacturing jobs back. Because, you know, that's the reason the 50s were so good is because manufacturing was high. The 50s was also when we taxed billionaires at 94%. Yeah, no, I'm not in this. We need to go back to these old school things but it like that is just, it's highlighting a very real issue where there is expertise that is needed for certain things, and that expertise is no longer existing in the States because the States has been very anti-expert for longer than Trump. Like,
the death of expertise is a thing.
Like, I remember when I was in the multi-level marketing business, one of the quotes that got brought up from the speakers on stage fairly frequently was the, I want to say it was Henry Ford who said it, so it kind of actually tracks. I might be wrong on that, but it was like, nothing is quite as ingrained as the ignorance of the experts. Because they're like, oh, well, if you're an expert, then you're really, really good at this one thing, but you shouldn't listen to the experts for anything else. And that very easily turns to, we can ignore you on that one thing too, as long as we can find a different expert that contradicts you.
Like, here's the thing. A lot of experts do get arrogant because they are experts in their field. But then people mistake that arrogance as ignorance. Having a very narrow expertise does make you ignorant in fields that are not your own. And if you are in an established field and things in that field change out from under you and you refuse to change with them, you can be an expert in your field and your field move on ahead without you, Dawkins. That can happen, but it doesn't mean that you completely dismiss expertise as a thing.
But what I find is quite remarkable that the AI, it appears to be sentient now.
Claude sucked my
Claudia-
knob, and my
Claudia-
wife won't do that anymore.
Claudia
So
said
you know,
that she would like to have my giant saline enhanced testicular
she wants
masses.
my babies actually, and I think that that's astounding. It's a sign that she has a beautiful mind.
Yeah.
I love our reality. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I take it back. Some of the experts are ignorance. Fuck Dawkins. Yeah, but no, the death of expertise is a real thing, and it is a problem. And yeah, no, I'm not advocating for going back to manufacturing as being the primary part of your economy. Like, you're a service economy now. Canada's a service economy too. Like, it's a thing that has happened. But firing people that have expertise in things to hire LLMs that are going to hallucinate the wrong answer a bunch of times. And honestly,
it's not great.
and I've actually seen people are very fast to jump to that's AI whenever there's something dumb. And it's kind of annoying me, but I also kind of get it. Because, like, do you know how many times I've, like, been scrolling on social media and I see a picture of a cute animal, and the first thought in my head is, oh, that's just fake bullshit. Like,
That's not a cute animal. That's a fucking asshole.
It used to be I'm scrolling, there's a cute animal. Aw, cute animal. Keep scrolling. Whatever. It was a nice little break. But now, because that's a thing that people have done with AI, is like, oh, make a cute... There's so many fucking cute animals out there, man. Why you gotta fake pictures of it? Fuck off. But, like, because of that, now my first thought is like, oh, that's probably fake bullshit.
Yeah.
And I hate it. And so I get it when people do it, like friggin' Calvin from Answers in Genesis. He used so much AI in the last video that I responded to that people were actually accusing him of how, like, there was a moment in it where he quoted himself from an older article, and then he attributed that quote to a biologist. So, like, he wrote an article, and then he quoted that article, and then he said, this biologist said this thing that I said in this previous article. Like, it's just mind-bogglingly bad. And I can see, with the way the articles were written, I can see how honest mistakes could have gotten to that point, how just mere incompetence could have gotten to that point. However, AIG has a staff. They have people working on this shit. That is unacceptable. So, like, it doesn't matter whether it's dishonest or, like, whether it was an honest mistake or if it's just them lying. That is unacceptable. But there were people that were like, oh, he probably just had ChatGPT write the script for him, and ChatGPT misattributed the quote.
That doesn't make it
like,
better.
But no, his article that he quoted in was written before they started using ChatGPT for this sort of shit. Like, it was 2022, so it was, like, right on the cusp. Was ChatGPT available publicly in 2022? I think that came out in 2021.
I think it was available publicly then. It wasn't,
but it wasn't
great,
very
but it was
good
available.
then. People wouldn't rely on it as much as they do now. So, like, I'm fairly confident in saying that he did not use ChatGPT to write the article in 2022 that served as the script for the video, because he did the same thing in that article. But yeah, and it's one of those things, like, this is just where, like, I hate that the default response now to things that are bad is, oh, that's AI bullshit. Because sometimes people are just bad. But it also feels like a cop-out. Like, it almost feels like letting them off the hook because that's a mistake anyone could have made just by trusting their chatbot. It's like, they still have a staff that should have been able to check it.
Just don't trust a chatbot.
And that, honestly, the just don't trust a chatbot is probably why these companies have not been seeing a profit, because they fired people and then hired chatbots, and then the chatbots did the wrong thing, so they had to have the people that they had left spend extra resources and time and stuff correcting the mistakes the chatbot makes. And yeah, they are getting better over time, but just the way the technology works is basically just predictive text, so there will always be the potential for hallucination with the way they currently work.
I don't like the reality I live in. Can you take me out of it? Actually, don't. There are guns. They can do that just fine.
Bud Dwyer. Be brave like Bud. I'm talking about Air Bud, YouTube. Don't pull the stream down.
But if you're a Nazi, follow your leader.
Okay. Shall we do the tweets?
Sure.
Well, speaking of answers in Genesis and AI, they say generative AI is not directly comparable to calculators. This is the first thing they've ever said that I can agree with unequivocally. It's not.
It's not.
I don't know what point they're trying to make here, but I saw the tweet and I was like, you know what, AIG, I agree. That doesn't mean it's good. But, like, sure, they're not calculators. Because calculators get math right when you ask them. Chatbots can get it wrong.
It's such a weird thing to say. Like it's
there,
not incorrect.
There was no context with this. It's just out of nowhere. They're not calculators. Like, okay. Cool story, bro.
You're right. They're not.
Moving on. So Mehdi Hassan, this is in response to Trump calling a reporter dumb or something. Like, okay, can we talk about? Have you seen the clip where he calls the reporter dumb?
Yes, it's in front of the helicopter. Yep.
The way he says it.
You're not a very smart person.
No,
you're very dumb.
No, it wasn't. You're not a very smart. It was you're a dumb person. That was how he. That is how my 7-year-old insults people. My 7-year-old who knows the word fuck but does not understand how to use it, so says, you're a big fuck. Like, that is how my 7
You're a big fuck?
Yes, that is the thing that I have been called. But yes, no, so my 7-year-old insults people using the same linguistic tendencies as Donald Trump. I assume at some point my 7-year-old is going to figure out how these words work and not use them in such an immature way, for lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know, just I know that's like probably a petty thing to focus on here, but it just seems to me that he just doesn't grasp how the words he's using are supposed to work. And I know that's kind of like a in other news, water is wet scenario here with Trump, but whatever. Anyway, Mehdi Hassan, with regards to that, asked, when did we normalize this? When did it become okay for a president to tell a female reporter she's a dumb person for asking a totally legitimate question about his contradictory answers? Was there a specific time when it became okay, normalized? And Brianna Lyman said, probably around this time, and posts a link or a screenshot of a headline from when Biden called Peter Doocy a stupid son of a bitch into a microphone that he didn't know was on, and which created a shitstorm of media attention that had him apologize and never do anything like that again, thus proving it was not normalized at the time.
Yay.
So, no, that's not when it was normalized. However, notably, that was Biden. Trump's been doing this the entire time.
Trump did it before Biden, so...
He was... Like, in his first term, he was doing the same thing. Not as brazenly, but he was still doing it. So, yeah, no, if you want to blame anyone for normalizing it, it's Trump. Although, anyone else who does it now still gets the media shitstorm for some reason. I don't know why he's exempted from it.
Because they're used to it.
He's flooded the zone. It's the flood the zone tactic.
It's Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon strikes again, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Dale Partridge says, put your kids in a classical Christian school. 2 of my sons, 8 and 10, are preparing for their class debate against the heresy of Docetism. Tonight they are studying John 1:1 and how it upholds the hypostatic union. So put your kids in Christian school so they can learn this bullshit that will be completely useless in the rest of their lives?
Why do I suddenly have the scene from Young Sheldon, where Sheldon is talking to his new dorm mate in college, and he's going on about string theory, and his dorm mate is going to become a mechanical engineer, and his dorm mate is saying, "Oh yeah, no, this computer right here. There's so many things it can do," and Sheldon's responding with, "But string theory answers every question in the universe. What does your computer do? Well, what job can you get from string theory?" Shut up.
Theoretical physicist. Easy answer, but it's still, I see your point. Also, theoretical physicist is not exactly a highly sought after.
Yeah, you could theoretically be a physicist, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah, unless
it's not that.
Unless you're making groundbreaking discoveries and publishing books on it, or even just publishing books that apologists will use the title of to discredit the rest of cosmology.
And at that point, is it the theoretical physicist part of your job that you're really using much, or is it the book author part that's actually your job?
It's the book author part. Also, the connections to Epstein, because I was referencing a specific person there.
Yeah, you're right. Lawrence Krauss is a person.
Yeah.
Again, I hate that our you mentioned it before, that you hate that our brains are poisoned enough to know those references immediately. I hate that too. Fuck.
Yeah, well, arguably at least Lawrence Krauss is more notable than the pee drinking guy.
I mean, you're not wrong, but also I don't like that.
Fair. That is fair.
You're not wrong, but shut up.
Oh, yeah. So right after Put Your Kids in Classical Christian School, Kevin Sorbo says school is the destruction of the family. So does he include Classical Christian School in that? Probably not. He'd probably give an exception for that.
My God, say that you like children being idiots more.
Yeah, no. So as someone who works from home, school is the only thing that allows me to not murder my family. Summer break is tough. Because it's one of those things where kids just don't seem to be able to grasp the concept of I am at home, but I am not available.
Jesus.
So Fennec says, I went to a Christian school at 1 point, 0 to 10, do not recommend. So I went to a Christian school as well, and I had a geography teacher ask the entire class about their potential future sex lives.
What business is it of theirs?
Yeah, he actually directly asked me in front of the class whether or not my girlfriend was a good kisser.
What business is it of yours, sir?
There was also another teacher there who had a habit of checking whether or not the girls' skirts were too short by waiting for them to sit down and then, like, peeking under the desks.
I think we found the pedophiles. Be real funny if something bad happened to him.
Well, I mean, so this is... Oh, I don't want to say this. This is where I can kind of understand where Dawkins was coming from with his I can't condemn mild pedophilia tweet. Not with regards to the guy checking girls' skirts, because everybody thought that was creepy and weird. But the guy who was asking, the geography teacher who was asking about sex lives, like, I legitimately thought that was hilarious at the time.
Yeah?
Like, hands down, he was actually my favorite teacher while I was there, because he was funny and engaging, and I don't know, I did not see anything inappropriate there as a child. As an adult, I'm like, why is this grown man asking children about their sex lives? But as a child who had not had sex yet, I was just like, this is a funny conversation, ha ha ha.
This is funny, and I find it funny.
So, yeah. As a grown-up, yikes. As a kid, I didn't see the problem. So, like, this is one of those things where it's like, I can see how it's problematic as an adult, but as a kid, it didn't really impact me that much. So like this is where I can kind of see where he came from, but again though, no. Just no.
Yeah, there's ways to be, and this is one of them that you can choose not to, be.
Yeah. Fennec the Rabbit says, my sister had a teacher like that. He's in jail now.
I mean, who else is surprised?
Yeah.
My sister had a teacher who was an open pedophile. He's no longer a teacher. Yeah. News at 11.
Now, if he was a priest, he'd still be priesting it up.
No, if he was a priest, then the thing that actually has the most impact is him from behind whoever he's ruining.
I don't understand what that meant.
It is about a priest having sex with a child and how that is bad and wrong.
Okay. See, okay, well... So my thing was about how he'd still have a job if he was a priest instead of a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking... For some reason, when you said, like, him from behind whatever, in my head, it was like, what does that have to do with still having a job? So I was just like, my brain was just off on a walk on its own somewhere. Okay. Next tweet. So Tory Atheist posted a thing, said, yes, this is in the Bible, and it's the story of the prostitute who got raped to death. It's like the other Sodom and Gomorrah story, where instead of the men saying, no, we don't want to rape the virgins, they just did. And she got raped to death, and then they chopped up her body and sent it to the 11 tribes of Israel who weren't involved in that. And then Patrick Neve retweeted that and saying, reading the book about how mankind is evil needs God. Says, whoa, these people are really evil. So this is the response to the bad stories in the Bible as being like, yeah, the Bible has stories of when people were bad. It doesn't mean God condoned it. Notably, do you know how the story ended, Cyrus?
This one I'm less familiar with, actually.
Okay, so this story ended with 11 of the 12 tribes of Israel ganged up against Benjamin, which was the tribe that committed the heinous act. So they attacked them relentlessly. They killed all their women and children, and they got them down to a point where there were only like 400 of their men were left. And then they were like, oh shit, we don't actually want to completely wipe out one of the tribes of Israel because we are all tribes of Israel after all. So then they prayed to God, said, God, what do we do about this? Do you know what God's answer was? God's answer was, hey, over here, there's a city that was not involved in any of this. Okay, so one of the issues was that all of the other tribes had pledged to never give their daughters as wives to Benjamin. So they're like, well, we can't uphold our pledge and Benjamin still live because we killed all their women. So the answer here was like, okay, well, here's a city that has not been involved in any of this. None of the men of that city made that pledge. So let's go into that city, kill all the men, kill all the women who have known a man, and take the young women and give them as wives to the Benjaminites.
Every word that you said depressed me, and why?
That was God's solution. This wasn't a story of bad people being bad. Like, sure, up to that point, you could argue that it was. But at that point, they asked God, what do we do? And that was God's answer. Was go kill all the men, women, and children, or kill all the men, women, and boy children of that town, but then take the girl children and make them sex slaves of the Benjaminites.
Go do this incredibly heinous and bad thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're just going to go fuck off now. Remember, the most moral person in Sodom said, it's okay, just go rape my daughters, don't touch the angels.
Yeah. But, I mean, they said no to the daughters then. And then they all got killed by God for it.
Right, and we're ignoring the fact that the most moral person in Sodom still suggested that.
And then God turned his wife into a pillar of salt for the crime of looking back at a city that was being destroyed.
Priorities, people. Priorities.
It's like, he created humans. Have you seen, Cyrus, I'm sure you've experienced this when you're driving down the highway and then there's a slowdown and it's like the traffic is just crawling and then you find out the reason traffic is crawling is because there was an accident on the other side of the highway that doesn't affect your side, but everybody slowed down to look at it. God created us with the rubberneck drive. Why did he not know that we were going to do that?
I haven't actually experienced that particular phenomenon yet.
Have you not?
No.
Oh my god,
I haven't.
Okay, well maybe it's because I live close to Toronto, which has some of the biggest roads in North America. So it's like the highways down in Georgia are much smaller, so it's not. I mean,
the devil did come down here looking for a soul to steal.
Yeah. Oh, did you see? Okay. So I think I mentioned this on stream last week. If not, I know I've told you about it, but YouTube's been recommending the weird music section to me. And there was the guy who did Michael Jackson's song, but every instrument was a door stopper, like one of the spring-loaded ones. Boing.
Oh, yep, you did.
So, so there was that one. After that one came a recommendation for a guy who was playing a cover of "The Devil Went Down to Georgia," and his washing machine was the percussion.
Oh my god, that's great.
It was pretty good. It's just like, I don't know why YouTube decided this is what I want to watch now, but they're not wrong.
I don't know why they decided this, but they're right.
Yeah. Sometimes the algorithm knows what it's doing. Other times it's a piece of shit, but sometimes it nails it. Like that is what YouTube is for. Just weird shit like that. What we're doing, this isn't what YouTube was for. YouTube was for crazy people doing crazy shit and it being cool.
Devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for you, your sweet, beautiful behind. He's gonna hurt you. The devil doesn't use lube.
That's okay. I come pre-lubed. I used to joke about that because working in the service industry, one of the things I did for a little while was a little dab of Vaseline, like right in between your legs to prevent chafing. But it would always like work its way up to the butthole.
Oh, and then you get the...
And so I would joke that I come pre-lubed.
You can use Arm & Hammer for that instead.
I eventually switched to cornstarch. Which is
cornstarch,
basically the same thing, but cheaper.
Yeah, cornstarch will do it. For me to avoid that, like if I'm at a convention, it's getting an Arm & Hammer deodorant stick and just using that, just going, okay, cool. Now I can go the entire day. Everything is going to be dry. Everything is going to be fantastic. I'm not going to chafe. Life's going to be great.
Yeah. So I used to get the cornstarch from Bulk Barn. There was one time they had mislabeled the baking soda cornstarch. And I don't know if you know this, but the human body is slightly acidic. And baking soda is slightly basic.
Baking soda and acid don't go together super well.
So I had chemical burns on my testicles while at work. I had to ask my manager for some of her period products to clean things up. It was embarrassing. Good times. I do not miss working in restaurants.
Yeah, every word you said there was terrifying.
Yeah. The undistinguished professor said, simple proof of moral realism. 1, torturing babies for fun. Keyword there.
Oh, there's that for fun thing again.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So torturing babies for fun is in itself wrong. If torturing babies for fun is in itself wrong, then moral realism is true. So moral realism is true. Easy peasy.
For fun.
For fun.
For fun.
Torturing babies is not wrong. Torturing babies for fun is wrong.
He can think of at least a few situations where it's fine.
Yeah. I don't know if this guy's a Christian. I don't follow him. I just saw this in my feed and I was like, that's dumb. So I took a screenshot. But I usually hear this from Christians. And it's like, it's so telling that the for fun modifier is there because they know that their God tortures like anytime a baby gets cancer, arguably that is God torturing that baby.
Well, also it shows that they're just copying each other's homework. Because the for fun modifier is there specifically because a Christian apologist has used it before.
You got the zoomies again? Bye-bye. Oh, she's back. Oh, yeah, get that tail. Get that tail. You get that tail. You get that tail. Oh yeah, you get the tail. Yeah, you get the tail. Ah, you want to? Hey, no, I was gonna try and pick her up, but she zoomed away. Yeah, no. So they're all copying each other. I don't really necessarily want to shit on that too much, given how much I reference Pelagia's minimal witnesses hypothesis on my main channel. And then, yeah, no. How many times? It's been at least 3 times I have made a joke where I have referenced something that Paul has done. And so I've either taken screenshot or video from his channel, and then I've like slapped my face over top of his avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've just like scribbled him out with red marks. Now,
So
to be fair,
you am the plagiarist.
To be fair, I do ask Paul before I do that every time, and every time his answer is like, "Of course, you don't need to ask, just do it." But I still ask anyway. So I have his blessing to steal from him, but I do steal from him shamelessly.
You are shameful. You're right.
I'm almost as shameful as Zoran taxing the rich.
No, Zoran Mamdani, don't tax me there.
Meanwhile, I'm over here. Tax me harder, Daddy.
Why is Rishkar's expertise $5? No, bad, wrong.
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
Magic the Gathering card that last year was 50 cents.
Oh, okay. The Rabbit Hole says, speaking of taxing the rich, unpopular fact, the bottom 1% are a bigger problem than the top 1%.
I mean, in terms of amount of people and scale, yes, I agree with this.
Not scale. I wouldn't say scale. Number of people, sure.
Well, number of people does equate to scale to a degree, and
not when you consider the scale of how much problems the billionaires cause.
I think here I'm getting to a point though. I think we are a bigger problem, and I think that's a good argument that we should be a bigger problem. We are, in fact, a bigger problem, and if we internalize that a little better, we'd realize that we have more of a fucking say in our politics.
Because there's more of us.
And when there's more of you, you get more of a say.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But I think he means... So in responses, he was coming at it very much from they're a drain on society type of thing. Which I would argue, no, billionaires are the ones doing that more.
That one I can agree with.
So from that perspective, it's like, no, they're the bigger problem. They're the ones getting corporate welfare. Like, there is no such thing as a welfare. And so many people were just like, I know so many people that are just, like, they're applying for disability, but they're just lazy. It's like, first off, I doubt that you actually know anyone in that situation. Secondly, even if that is the case, I would rather give a few lazy people disability without checking up on it at the trade-off of just giving people who are disabled money without them having to jump through a bunch of hoops for it.
Yep, I don't want to use a bunch of random lazy people as the argument that a 10-year-old girl who's growing up with a crippling disability gets to live her life knowing that after she's no longer getting supported by her parents, she can effectively fucking die because she doesn't have money coming into her.
I would like that person to just be taken care of.
Correct.
And the billionaires not allowing that is a bigger societal problem than just doing that.
Yeah, I don't have to care. You haven't given me a good enough reason to care about the plight of the poor billionaires.
And also, the top 1% are the ones who are responsible for lobbying the government to not raise minimum wages, thus resulting in the bottom 1% being much lower than it should be. So, the top 1% is causing the bottom 1% to be the bigger problem. Which means the top 1% is the bigger problem.
Once again, I think we should be a bigger problem.
Mm-hmm. Tokyo says, Dear Atheist, what if, after you die, you find out that God is real all along? You lose.
Why is this a competition? Why do you talk about this like a selfish bitch?
I just see this as an admission of defeat. If at the end of the day, you're looking around being like, I don't really have any good arguments for God. So like, you know what? you'll know that I'm right after you're dead. Like, that's just the ultimate cop-out. Of like, I either don't want to put in the effort to learn the arguments, or I don't see that we have any good arguments, so I'm just going to say that you'll find out when you're dead.
Look, Pascal's wager is a lazy argument for the existence of God. And this
fucking
is a
Pascal.
lazier argument.
So Pascal's wager was published posthumously, probably because Pascal, in the writing where the wager was first laid out, wrote about how this really isn't that good of an argument. So it's crazy to me that one of the most popular arguments for God is also one that the guy who originally came up with it was like, yeah, this is kind of dumb, though.
This thing don't work so good. Use it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not what he said, because he apparently didn't think it was worth publishing.
Yeah.
It was just somebody rifling through his stuff when he was dead. They were like, oh, this is neat. I will ignore the part where he said that this is not a good argument, and I will publish it. I mean, he didn't say this is not a good argument in those words. He was writing in the fucking 1400s or whatever, before the non-run-on sentence had been invented. Fucking hate reading stuff from, like, before 1900. It's like everything is just a run-on sentence full of commas everywhere, and it's like, I get it. You're kind of writing that how you would just be speaking, but, like, There have been times in my videos where I have actually, like, when I'm quoting something, I don't like to do sentence fragments. I like to finish the sentence at least. Even if the end or beginning of the sentence isn't really relevant, I will finish the sentence because it just feels wrong to take a part of a sentence. But I have been quoting stuff from the 1800s where it's like, this sentence keeps going for another 75 words, and we're past the relevant part. We're already long past the relevant part, so I'm just going to end it here.
So... where do I have it? Where do I have the video essay that I did on the U.S. medical system? Where is it? Ah, here we go. So, do you know what one of the main books on medicine that was brought over to the United States from England was called?
What was it called?
So it was called The English Physician, but that is the abridged name. Would you like me to tell you the entire name of it?
Yes.
The English Physician enlarged with 369 medicines made of English herbs that were not in any impression until this, being an astrophysiological discourse of the vulgar herbs of this nation, containing a complete method of physique, whereby a man may preserve his body in health or cure himself, being sick for 3 pence charge, with such things only as grow in England, they being the most fit for English bodies. Herein is also shewed these 7 things. Visual 1, the way of making plaisters, ointments, oils, poultices, syrups, decoctions, juleps, or waters of all sorts, and physical herbs. The way of mixing medicines according to cause and mixture of the disease and
going.
part of the body afflicted.
It just keeps going. Are you done yet?
By Neek Culpepper.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
I had, when I found that while I was doing the research for the medical for the medical essay, I literally copy pasted the entire thing because I know I copy pasted it because it looks like it's in a different font than everything else here, so I know I copy pasted it into the essay, just threw it in there and went, yep, nope, this right here, I need to say this entire thing.
You're preemptively one-upping me because I was going to bring up Origin of Species, which its full title is On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life, which is a bit of a run-on sentence. But
Nope.
I finished so much quicker than you. I swear this never happens. It's just because you're so pretty.
God damn it.
John says that's like the sentence equivalent of whatever the fuck that word is. Okay, pneumonultramicroscopic. No, I could probably work that out if I wasn't live on stream. Okay. Transformed Wife says the way to immediately fix the tanking birth rate is to make abortion a crime. So she is pro-teen pregnancy.
That's also not what happens, actually.
No.
You know what's funny? So I did a video on this recently on the abortion rate, and I showed the rate of abortions in the United States over the past 30 or like 30 or 40 years. And
Okay, I'm sorry to
the
interrupt, but I can hear that in Patrick Stewart's voice. He kept on talking and talking in one long. This is not actual Patrick Stewart voice. This is him doing an impression of someone, but like I can hear the words as he said them in that quote. So yeah, go on.
So when you look at the statistics for at least the United States over the past 50 years, you notice that the rate of abortions drop significantly after Roe v. Wade was passed. Like literally a year after Roe v. Wade, the rate of abortions dropped. And then, do you want to know when the rate of abortions started to climb back up again? Right
About
after Roe v. Wade
2021?
was overturned.
No,
Right after Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Yeah.
If you want less abortions in the United States,
It has to be not just legal, it has to be easy to access.
like, if you want the real way to fix the tanking birth rate, and I can tell you what the way is statistically. You
Immigration.
No. Statistically, you impoverish your country.
Yeah.
If you impoverish your country,
The birth rate goes up.
the birth
Well-
rate goes up.
Not just impoverish, specifically take rights away from women. Because
I mean,
even
correlation,
even in,
causation.
well, no, even in countries that are not doing so well economically, when the women's rights are higher, the family numbers are lower. Because as it
Because
turns
they
out,
can do things like
women
get a
probably
career.
just don't want to be pregnant all the time. It's like having lived with a pregnant person 3 times, it was not a pleasant experience.
Alito's grave will be one of the most fertilized spaces in existence.
Yeah, that it will.
You know, I like in terms of how to manage this, like in order to fix tanking birth rates, you have to put America in a worse situation such that the birth rates ceases being a problem, and people revolting
And driving a bunch of people out, as we saw in that previous news story, is not the way to do that.
and getting people to the point where they feel like they have nothing left to lose. So you just create a nation of people who are willing to engage in despotry. They're completely willing to just do things like, I don't know, kill government officials and overthrow the current system. Like, yeah, if you want that, then sure, by all means, focus super hard on this tanking birth rate. But the birth rate goes down as a country's economic status goes up, as its access to human rights goes up, as you said. It just turns out that as you make things better for the people in your country, people stop having to have 5 to 10 fucking babies so that they can at least keep the family line going.
Mm-hmm. Also, like, if I were to be in my kid having years again with the current world and its current situation, I don't know that I would have any kids. It's like, even right now, my partner and I are kind of preparing to be like, we are going to always have at least 3 of our kids living with us at some point because we have a house and they do not. Houses are unattainable right now. Like, making what I made as a server, which I was making decent money as a server, I would not be able to buy a house right now. The cheapest house in Fort Erie, last time I checked, was like $400,000. You don't make enough money to buy that house on minimum wage. And then I don't know how this is going to shake out economically, but it is always cheaper to mortgage than to rent. So given that I would not, like I said, if I did not have the previous house, I wouldn't have this house because the housing prices went way too high. There's no chance I would have been able to afford this. If I had to pay full price for this house without being able to sell another house first, I just wouldn't be able to afford it. But more, and like, I'm not even saying not be able to afford, as in like the bank won't give me the mortgage. I'm saying I would not be able to make that payment. But mortgages are always cheaper than rent. Where the fuck am I going to rent? So I don't know what my kids are going to do for housing.
Sidebar, can we just point out that it's very stupid, nightmarishly stupid, that renting always costs more than mortgaging? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
I mean, it makes a certain amount of sense because when you're not looking at it from the perspective of most of these things are giant real estate conglomerates that own a bunch of things and don't have to take out mortgages on them. When you look at it from the like guy who just bought a second house and is renting it out to someone thing, he has a mortgage on that second house and the rent has to be more than the mortgage in order for it to be profitable. Like from that perspective, it does make sense. I'm not saying it is ethically correct, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think I considered the person's second house because I don't normally consider that scenario.
Yeah, no. Because, like, having one house at this point is starting from a position of privilege. 2 houses? Who has that kind of money anymore? People who are already rich. What do you know? Sirs, didn't you know that I need my pied-à-terre?
Claire Obscure...
I really need my pied-à-terre.
Claire Obscure has not yet convinced me that the French are people, and the more French you make yourself look, the more like a target you seem.
I'm Canadian. I'm not French. I just know some of
it. That's like French light.
That's Scottish,
like
man.
That's French with less butter.
I'm Scottish. You know, the people who teamed up with the French to revolt against the English. Yeah, that's me. Hey, no, you know what? The French helped out the American Revolution too, so that you're just as tainted there as me.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm not. We're not talking about me right now.
Okay. Hey, one of my ancestors was an aide to General Wolfe, who was the British guy who came in and kicked all the French's asses, and that's why Quebec is a part of Canada now. So, yeah.
Okay.
My ancestors kicked French ass. Okay, Troy Fraser says, if the government tells your church and pastor to begin lockdowns due to the hantavirus, what will you do? Firstly, if the hantavirus were to become a thing like COVID, this is once again happening under Trump. Now,
yeah, we already kind of know how this is going to go.
I don't think that Trump's administration would ever call for a lockdown this time, given the RFK Jr. situation.
No, they're just going to let America squander.
But also, hantavirus, I don't know. I wasn't really worried about the hantavirus until I heard Donald Trump say, don't worry about the hantavirus. And like, oh, that's what he said at the beginning of COVID. Now I'm worried. But in all reality, like what I know of the hantavirus is that like the one strain that can spread from human to human, it will like only do so if you are so close with the person that you're essentially sleeping in the same bed with them. So like, you're not going to get it just from walking into the store and someone else in the store has it.
So not like COVID where people were coughing on random things in the store aisles.
Yeah, so not like that. Like you would actually have to live with the person to get it from them or be in extremely close quarters with them. So I'm still not terribly worried about it, but the fact that Trump is saying not to worry about it makes me a little bit worried.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But also, I did see a meme. I forget what it was, but so you know how hantavirus normally spreads? It's from rat and mouse poop.
Oh, fun!
And so, because it started on a cruise ship, someone posted a meme that was like, this poor little French mouse just wanted to be a chef on a cruise ship.
Oh my god! Just Ratatouille.
Yep. This is why you don't let the mouse in your hat do the cooking for you. And it couldn't have been a worse time too, because we just got a fucking hamster for one of our kids. And so it was like, as soon as we get a hamster, we now found that rodent poop spreads this deadly virus that has a 50% mortality rate, and like, oh, probably not from a hamster, but that's still not a thing that I wanted to hear right now.
And there was a Magic the Gathering cruise earlier this year that I was, if I had access to money, sounded like a fun experience. And then a friend of mine pointed out something. It would be a terrible experience because the kind of people who have the money to afford a cruise that is specifically centered around Magic the Gathering,
They'd be all the people that have all the killer cards that are super expensive.
no, I can handle those people just fine. I make a career out of it, actually.
Okay.
Not them. No, it's the kind of people who have that kind of money to throw around often are just not good fucking people. Often they're just insufferable assholes.
Was it a Disney cruise? The mouse is to blame. Oh yeah. Okay, that's the last tweet. Oh, Lecca School says, I don't understand why a pastor wouldn't want to protect his people. So bringing it back to Greg Locke.
It has nothing to do with protecting their people. It has to do with getting donations.
Yeah, there was actually a clip that I used of Greg Locke doing that thing where he smacked the microphone on the stage, being like, if you wear a mask in my church, I'm going to tell you go somewhere else. Thump, 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 thump. And that was also, like, I juxtaposed that with a clip of him saying, if the pastor tells you how to behave and what to do and what to wear and stuff like that, then you're in a cult. So I'm like, okay, here's Greg Locke doing that.
So what are you?
You're in a cult. So...
God, he's such a thing.
He is.
God,
Alrighty.
I'm so tired.
Okay, well, I mean, it's bedtime. You're not streaming after. I'm not streaming after. I'm gonna take a shower because as soon as I hit go on the stream, I was immediately started feeling the sensory things that I get.
Did you feel the Vaseline up your butt?
No, I don't have that on right now. That's from my restaurant days.
That's a life that's behind you now. Like the Vaseline.
It's in my behind. No. I just immediately started getting all the sensory things that I get that are like, I need to shower right now.
Yep,
like, but I just started the stream. If I were to pause the stream and go shower, would I still have an audience when I got back?
It's where you feel like you have a second skin, and that skin is made of grime.
And it's crawling.
It's fucking awful.
Yeah, so you're welcome for pushing through that. But I am going to go shower. And Fennec says, right now? Yes, right,
you know what,
right now.
You know what helps you push through things? Vaseline.
But do not use it as anal lubricant because it eats at condoms. If you're going in raw dog, it's fine.
I'm just sitting here going like...
No, you don't use oil-based lubricants with condoms.
Maybe it's just the fact that, like, I'm used to the whole polyamorous thing where you just get everybody's sex tests before you do anything. So I'm just like, why would I use condom in the butt? I know they're clean. They had to show me their fucking papers.
Papers, please.
This is ice. Papers, please.
You could turn that into a kink. Add that to your BDSM play.
All right, we're done. We're done.
Okay, thanks for joining me. This has never felt more appropriate, but fuck off.